Coming up tonight on the news, the amount of drugs being taken off the streets is skyrocketing in Seward. We spoke to the sheriff.
Plus, the latest on the trial of Congressman Jeff Fortenberry. But first tonight.
So I was using gambling to fill in a hole somewhere else in my life.
Millions living with the burden of an addiction. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Millions of people gamble every year, especially around March Madness.
What some don't realize is the bigger issue is the game that some face with gambling. Channel 8's Macy Meyer has more on problem gambling and what it can do to so many people. Macy?
March marks Problem Gambling Awareness Month, a time for people to identify some of the signs that they might be struggling with a larger issue than just betting on a game or buying a scratch-off.
I finally got to a point where I didn't necessarily hit a rock bottom. For me, it was more of a was so exhausted at leading a double life.
It's an issue around 2 million Americans face, a severe gambling problem, and another 4 to 6 million with a mild gambling problem. At Choices Treatment Center in Lincoln, they see people from all walks of life come in for help, whether they realize they have an issue or not.
I think one of the universal things they've tried and failed to quit. The thing that I've noticed that before anyone can really change, they have to figure out, I can't outsmart this.
Blanchard said although there's not immediate health issues that follow a gambling addiction like alcohol or drugs would, it can still be detrimental to those struggling.
They followed a couple who had become homeless. They were living out of their vehicle, which had no gas, and they're looking under the seats for coins so that they can buy a scratch off because they're still convinced if I win, then we can get out of this hole.
It's one thing to buy a scratch off here and there or place a bet every so often, but Blanchard says when you can't step away from the gambling, that's when you should know you have an issue. For people in recovery like Chandra, finally reaching out for help was a huge relief.
It's been great as far as I'm a dad, and it's for me that's the biggest thing is being as transparent with her, and being transparent with everyone's the big thing is that there's so much freedom in my life knowing that I can be transparent with who I am.
Now, if you feel like you might have a problem, the easiest thing to do is take a gambling evaluation test. They are free and can help you start the road to recovery. We will have that information on our website after the show.
All right, Macy Meyer, thank you so much for that report.
We hear about it almost weekly, a big drug bust on the interstate.
In Seward County, the amount of drugs they have confiscated has more than tripled in the last 2 years. We're talking about everything from heroin, cocaine, meth, and fentanyl. In fact, it has gotten so bad that Seward County has actually had to move some of their seized drugs to other agencies because they've run out of room.
We don't plan an evidence building to hold that much drugs. You know, we never expected that much drugs to come through our county or come into our county.
So what do you do to fight the war on drugs? And we're not just talking about busts that happen on Interstate 80. It's out in the counties too. That's why a new drug task force has been created. We're going to have a much closer look at this problem and how they're trying to slow it down coming up on our newscast tonight at 10 o'clock. Now to the latest in the trial of Nebraska Congressman Jeff Fortenberry.
His legal team says FBI agents intended to charge him before even interviewing him. The claim was made today during the congressman's ongoing corruption trial. He's accused of lying about an illegally donated campaign contribution for $30,000 from a national foreigner. According to the Nebraska Examiner, Fortenberry's lawyers cited a form that was required before agents could interview Fortenberry. It allegedly stated that agents would seek to charge the congressman. Now to the state capitol, the legislature passed a bill today requiring the governor to apply for emergency rental assistance.
But here's the deal on that. To get the $120 million, you have to apply by March 28th. That's coming up in 5 days. The governor has made it clear he does not want the money, saying Nebraska is not a welfare state. Also, with the deadline looming, the governor, keep in mind, can also veto the bill.
He can veto it, so he has 5 days to veto it, and then we have 3 days to override him.
We reached out to the governor's office. They said, quote, the governor typically takes his full 5 days to review bills before they return to the legislature. Now, this bill did pass 26 to 15. Keep in mind it would take 30 votes to override a governor's veto. Some lawmakers say there is a chance the deadline to apply for the $120 million could be extended. Right now, about 58% of Nebraskans who are between the ages of 25 and 34 have a form of higher education.
But senators in the Education Committee are trying to make that a much higher percentage. They're hoping to raise the statewide educational attainment goal to 70% by the year 2030. This would mean 70% of Nebraskans, again aged 25 to 34, would be encouraged to have some form of post-secondary completion. This schooling can be at a college, a technical school, or trade school.
How do we make it affordable? How do we make it accessible? How do we bring in students who have traditionally not participated to the extent that they need to? And I just think that this gives us a goal and a way to pull those together and say, here's the progress we're making.
Even though this resolution was introduced later in the session, they still believe it will be debated on the floor. Senators will vote on the resolution on April 12th. A new way for teachers and school staff to report emergencies is in the works in Cass County.
They're going to be able to use an app on their phone or tablet to report an emergency directly to law enforcement and dispatch. Kelly's Anthony D'Agostino went to Cass County to learn more about this new service that's being implemented.
If a teacher in the East Wing seen violence, there was a shooter or something going on, and getting the message in a timely manner to the West Wing or the administrative part in the front of the building, oftentimes there was several minutes or seconds that went by, valuable time went by before notification could get out to the responders.
Using that app is quick and easy. Not only does that alert go to law enforcement, but it also goes to all of the teachers and administrators in the school, which then allows school personnel ample time to implement safety measures.
Then with that, the law enforcement, the responder gets the alert. They can then text 2-8 or text back that I'm just outside of town, en route. It gives the teacher then, and then everybody in that group, peace of mind that help is on its way.
The app also works in reverse. Law enforcement can notify the school of a potential hazard nearby, and the school can then make an informed decision on what they should do.
Let's say we had a large hazmat type accident there, and the plume of this corrosive gas was heading towards the school. Instead of going through our normal channels and phone calls and stuff, trying to make all that happen, we could push an alert through our dispatch center, and it would go out to the school. At least they'd be advised immediately within seconds.
The app looks like this. As you can see, it allows users to select the location where the incident is, and then it asks the user to confirm the alert. A chat window then opens up with who sent the alert and the responding officer. The service is not without cost though, but for at least the first year, the sheriff is picking up the tab. It's not in operation yet, as Cass County 911 and the Sheriff's Department are still working out logistics and testing it out, but they plan on having it fully operational when school starts again in the fall. Cass County is also the first one to use this service in Nebraska. Reporting in Cass County, Anthony D'Agostino, Channel 8 News.
Now, we did ask Lancaster County's 911 if they're looking into getting this service, and we're told there is nothing in the works right now.
Time now for your first forecast. John, a lot of folks heard their weather radio sound this morning, and it was for a good reason.
That is right. This morning was the statewide tornado drill, so you may have heard the alerts going off, and it was a time for you to practice where you needed to go this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, while the event was this morning, and it's good to know where you need to be if you're at school or at work, but also remember to make sure you know where to go if you're at home with the kids or with the family. So take a few minutes this evening to discuss where you should go in the event a tornado warning is issued and you need to seek shelter. Here's, let's say, a small one-bedroom house. To give you an idea of where you should go, look for the colors. Greens meaning a good place, reds meaning a bad place. You want to be in the center of the building or the center of the home with as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and preferably away from windows because, of course, windows can and will break. So again, spend just a little bit of time this evening, discuss it with the kids where they should go if they hear the sirens going off or you get the alert that there is a tornado warning that's been issued, but also spend a little time to talk about what you should do if you're out at the ball fields or anywhere in between your house and work or school, because again, we know tornado warnings can happen at any given time. Clouds. We've got a lot of clouds around the area today, and they're going to stick around at least for another 24 hours for most of us. And within these clouds, we've got some mixing of rain and snow pellets that are falling across the far eastern portions of the state. These are moving from north to south, and we will likely keep the chance for a few showers or some snow spitting at times, probably through the midnight hour and again maybe early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, temperatures are being held down because of the cloud cover. It's been a chilly day. Wind chills are in the 20s because winds are gusting at times 35 to 40 miles per hour. For the rest of this evening, we'll see 37 degrees by 6. Rain snow mix still possible by 8, but notice the temperature is really kind of holding steady as we go through the rest of the evening hours. We're not going to move very much with the cloud covers around. We'll see cloudy skies as well as we go through the day tomorrow. It's going to keep our temperatures down for some of us. Some of you will see some sun. We'll take a closer look at that in my Storm Alert Team forecast.
All right, we'll check back in with you soon, John. Thank you. In national news, the very first female U.S. Secretary of State has died.
That's right. Madeleine Albright lost her battle with cancer at the age of 84. At the time, as Secretary of State, she was the highest-ranking woman in the history of the U.S. government. She was a central figure in President Clinton's administration. She helped steer Western foreign policy in the aftermath of the Cold War.
In my professional life, what I'm really proudest of is what we did in Kosovo. I was very concerned about what was happening in the Balkans, and I really found it very difficult to watch when people were being killed for what they were, what religion they were, rather than anything that they had done.
And Albright is praised for the expansion of NATO, trying to also reduce the spread of nuclear weapons, and championed human rights and democracy across the globe. Still ahead on the news tonight, President Biden travels to Brussels for a whirlwind day of diplomacy.
More on that story and your full forecast after the break.
Taking the good with the ups and downs.
Ukrainians continue to cross the border into Poland in an effort to escape the devastation and destruction of war.
The UN Refugee Agency says more than 3.5 million people have fled Ukraine since the Russian invasion. More than 2 million of those people have crossed into Poland. It's an exodus that has led to Europe's worst refugee crisis since World War II.
This comes as President Biden is on his way to Europe for a summit with all 30 NATO leaders. ABC's Karen Travers is in Brussels.
President Biden travels to Brussels for a whirlwind day of diplomacy at NATO, a marathon schedule of meetings all focused on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Leaving the White House Wednesday morning, the president not revealing his strategy.
I'm going to say when I get there.
White House officials say the president in Brussels will reaffirm the ironclad U.S. commitment to the NATO military alliance and work to strengthen the response from the U.S. and allies to Russia's ongoing attacks on Ukraine.
For the past few months, the West has been united. The president is traveling to Europe to ensure we stay united.
The president and world leaders will announce a new package of sanctions on Russia. The White House signaling this will be a new effort to crack down on countries helping Russia get around the previously imposed sanctions. Last week, President Biden said he believed Vladimir Putin was a war criminal. Today, the State Department announcing the U.S. has assessed that Russian forces have committed war crimes.
The U.S. government assesses that Russia's forces are committing war crimes in Ukraine.
And shocking new drone video released by a right-wing paramilitary group incorporated into the Ukraine National Guard, showing the devastation in Mariupol, entire neighborhoods destroyed. Thousands remain trapped as supplies such as food, water, and power are running low, but Ukrainian forces are still holding on. ABC's James Longman is in Lviv, Ukraine.
Hundreds of people come all day to get food, to get medication. Many of these people will have been coming from Mariupol, that besieged city to the southeast of Ukraine.
Meanwhile, a small victory for Ukrainian troops. Officials say they've reclaimed an important Kyiv suburb from Russian forces, along with control of a key highway, allowing them to block the Russians from surrounding the capital.
President Biden said Wednesday there's a real threat that Russia uses chemical weapons in Ukraine. He said before there would be severe consequences if Russia took that action, but he hasn't said what those consequences would be. Karen Travers, ABC News, Brussels.
Now, your Storm Alert Team forecast with Chief Meteorologist John Dessauer.
It has been a cloudy, blustery, kind of a yuck day out there. At times we've had a little bit of rain mixed with some snow falling, more in the way of just some like almost drizzle and some light sprinkles, more so than just a heavy rain moving through. This is a live look right now from Schoen's Roofing, and you can see roads are wet as this evening. And we've got the same story as we take a live look from Honda of Lincoln looking to the northwest. So we're getting the raindrops hitting the lens, making it easy to see we've got some precipitation falling. Again, light precipitation. The other problem is we've got this low cloud deck that sits about 3,000 feet to 7,000 feet above the ground. And high-resolution computer models are suggesting we're going to keep this cloud deck around. They're going to be stubborn to burn off. So we're likely going, at least in Lincoln, going to see them most of the day tomorrow. We'll see some sunshine out towards the Tri-Cities, and that's going to impact our temperatures for tomorrow. Now, this evening we've got the rain showers that are moving off to the south and southwest. Radar makes it look like we've got a lot of rain falling. That's just not the case, but there definitely is that falling. And if you're out driving this evening, windshield wipers will likely be needed, and some of that will have some snow mixing in with it at times. Now, rainfall today, we've picked up a whopping 1/100th of an inch of rain at the airport in Lincoln and 1/100th as well down in Beatrice. But we've gotten some beneficial rains over the previous 2 days. Looking at totals from Monday and Tuesday, and this is looking at official airport locations, and I know some of you've got more than this for sure, but you can see Lincoln picked up 6,100ths, 8,200ths of an inch in Beatrice, near 9/10ths out towards Hebron, 7,500ths out towards Hastings, and even higher amounts as you get over into the far eastern part of the state with over an inch of rain. Now, so far year to date, including today, we're now down 4,200ths of an inch of rain. So we're actually improving now in our annual deficit. Now, looking over the next 7 days, computer models are kind of widespread as to how much rainfall will come our way. We do have a couple of days of some showers coming, with one tomorrow morning, maybe a few sprinkles, but bigger chances later next week. By the way, this evening, if you would like to become a storm spotter, the National Weather Service from Hastings will be teaching a spotter class at the Nance County Events Center at 406 North Ida Street in Fullerton. Begins at 6:30. They typically last 90 minutes to 2 hours at the most, and the key is they are free to attend, so head on out there if you want to take part in that this evening. Temperature-wise, we're sitting in the 30s. It's cool across Lincoln. They'll go further to the south. It's 37 degrees in Beatrice, a bit cooler in Fairbury where it's 32. And where there's not as much cloud cover, temperatures are a bit warmer. Notice 47 degrees in Kearney, 41 in both Grand Island as well as in Hastings. Winds continue to gust out of the north-northwest, 30 to 40 miles per hour. It's giving us wind chills into the 20s, so yeah, it does feel chilly outside. Now for the rest of this evening, cloudy skies, temperatures are going to hold relatively steady. I think our overnight lows will drop mainly in the low to mid 30s by tomorrow morning with some occasional gusts to 28 miles per hour. Through the day tomorrow, notice the low clouds. Again, these are going to be stubborn. They exist between 3,000 feet and 7,000 feet. And where you're under the clouds, that's where the temperatures aren't going to warm much. Where we see some sunshine, temperatures will boost just a bit higher. But highs tomorrow are going to range from the mid 40s to upper 50s around southeast Nebraska. 7-day forecast then shows warming up on Friday, 58 degrees under mostly sunny skies. The weekend not looking terribly bad, 55 Saturday, a little warmer by Sunday. Early next week, temperatures start to jump again up to 68 degrees by Monday. A chance for some showers and thunderstorms coming our way Tuesday evening. This may linger into early Wednesday morning, but notice temperatures next week, a little ups and downs, some 40s to 50s, 60s, 70s, and some of you may even Tuesday afternoon reach 80 degrees.
All right, thank you very much, John. A negative day on Wall Street today, the Dow falling 449 points. NASDAQ also down 186. Here are your numbers. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source.
Tonight, after the powerful testimonies,
get to the bottom of what happened.
The January 6th
Quite a stir. Jeremy Roth has tonight's Take a Look at This.
Whoa! It can only be described
as wild, shocking close encounters with a mountain lion at bustling businesses in Irvine, California. It was spotted evading officials outside a hair salon.
Never had such a wild encounter like that, so it was very scary.
And outside this coffee shop.
Kind of see like the paw prints right there.
Then came the most dramatic part. After an attempt to tranquilize the predator failed, it reportedly entered this technology company's front door, walking right past employee Mark Waterhouse.
A gentleman from next door said, "Oh, there's a lion on the loose." I said, "Oh, it's just gone through to the lab."
Officials were finally able to corner and safely sedate the lion. They then took it to a local animal care center, bringing to an end the surreal SoCal safari. And now for the tooth. And nothing but the tooth. A giant woolly mammal tooth, that is. That's exactly what was found at a construction site in Sheldon, Iowa. The tooth is nearly a foot long, weighs over 11 pounds, and is suspected to be more than 20,000 years old. Finally, a 20th century treasure is soon expected to nab a staggering sum at auction. Christie's expects Andy Warhol's famous shot sage Blue Marilyn could nab around $200 million when it hits the block in May. They describe the work as the absolute pinnacle of American pop. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
All right, let's get a final check of your weather with John. What can people expect tonight?
Well, we've got a few light showers mixed in with some snow showers as well. They're moving from north to south. I think we'll probably see these continuing on at least through midnight tonight, and we could even have a few of those little spits tomorrow morning. Otherwise, for the rest of this evening, it's going to be on the chilly side. 38 degrees by 8, 36 by 10. Temperatures are not going to move very much as we go through the overnight. Lows will only be down in the low to mid 30s, but wind chills will be down in the low 20s, if not even upper teens at times.
All right, thank you, John, and thank you all for joining us.
World News is coming your way next. We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock.
With the Channel 8 Eyewitness News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about breaking news and weather, all in the palm of your hand.
At Comfort Made Mattress Factory, we build each mattress specifically for you, right here in our locally owned store. We can even make his side different than hers, backed by our lifetime comfort guarantee.
Closed captioning on Channel 8 Eyewitness News is brought